If you've ever stared at the clock after work and thought, if I put my baby to bed early, I'm basically choosing sleep over seeing my own child, you're not dramatic, you're exhausted. And the worst part is the guilt whispers like it's a fact, as if bedtime is a loyalty test. Hi, I'm Treasure, and I help working and professional parents get out of the sleep chaos without the pressure, the panic, or the all or nothing advice. Let's start with what's really driving this. This is not just a sleep decision, it's a heart decision. You finally get home, you miss them, you want those cuddles, those laughs, the little baby smell that should be illegal to make that comforting. The pushing bedtime feels like you're buying more love. But here's the truth that sets you free. A consistent early bedtime does not steal connection, it protects it. By the way, if you want all of this laid out in a clear, working parent-friendly way, download my free guide, The Modern Parent Sleep Roadmap, the guide I wish I had at 2 a.m. The link is in the video description and on the screen. Here's what's actually going on under the surface. Most babies and toddlers do their best sleep earlier in the night. Not because they're being good, not because you finally cracked the code, it's just how their sleep is wired as they mature. So when bedtime gets pushed later to squeeze in more together time, it often backfires in the most unfair way. You don't get more quality time. You get a cranky baby, a longer bedtime, more night waking, and then an early morning party you did not RSVP to. And then you feel even more robbed. There are a few common patterns that create this exact problem. One is what I call the compassionate bedtime spiral. You're trying to be a loving parent, so you stretch the evening. Your baby gets overtired, their nervous system gets jumpy, and suddenly they need more help to settle. Now, bedtime takes forever, you feel like you barely saw them anyway, and you end up with less rest for tomorrow. Another pattern is the weekend whiplash. Weekdays are controlled by daycare and commutes. Weekends feel like your one chance to do bedtime your way, so you shift later to get more family time. Then Monday hits, your baby's body clock is confused, and the week starts with chaos. And the third pattern is the guilt math. You tell yourself, if I only get 2 hours with them, I have to maximize it. So you try to make those 2 hours huge. But babies do not measure love in hours. They measure it in presence. Now let's talk about what helps, starting tonight. The goal is not early bedtime at all cost. The goal is a bedtime that protects sleep and still lets you feel like a parent who actually sees their child. So we build a guilt-proof plan that gives you connection on purpose, not connection by delaying sleep. Here's the foundation. You anchor bedtime based on your baby's sleep needs, not your guilt level. Because guilt is loud and biology is stubborn. If your baby is melting down every evening, fighting bedtime, waking a lot overnight, or waking way too early, bedtime is probably already too late for their current schedule. And if daycare naps are short or unpredictable, bedtime usually needs to be earlier, not later. Let me show you the smallest changes that make the biggest difference. Start by creating what I call a bridge moment. The second you reunite, this is tiny, but it's powerful. Before you do chores, before you open the mail, before you scroll, you give your baby a short, fully present reconnection. This can be a cuddle on the couch, a bottle or nursing with the phone face down, a little play on the floor where you narrate what they're doing like it's the most interesting documentary you've ever seen. If you're doing this solo, this is especially important because you need a moment that feels like you and your baby are on the same team again. And if you have a partner, agree that the first few minutes are protected time, not logistics time. Then you keep the evening simple on purpose. You are not trying to fit in a whole childhood after work. You're building a rhythm your baby can count on and a rhythm your nervous system can survive. So instead of big fun time, think steady together time. A calm dinner or snack, even if it's not aesthetic. A quick bath or wipe down. A A short routine that repeats the same way, even if daycare was a circus. Because repetition is what tells a baby's brain, I'm safe, I know what's next. Now let's address the fear you're thinking but not saying out loud. What if early bedtime makes them forget me? It won't. In fact, overtired sleep often creates more clinginess and more night waking because their body is fighting to settle. Protecting sleep can actually make your awake time feel sweeter. More eye contact, more giggles. Less crying that makes you feel like you're doing everything wrong. And if you're worried your baby will barely see you on weekdays, I want you to reframe it like this. Your baby is building trust in 3 places. In your presence when you are together, in the predictability of the routine you keep, and in the way you respond when they need you, especially at night. Early bedtime supports all 3. Now here's the part most people miss, and it's the reason this whole plan becomes guilt-proof. You choose one daily signature connection that is not bedtime. Not a long thing, a reliable thing. And maybe it's the bridge moment right after work. Maybe it's a stroller walk. Maybe it's reading 2 books every night even if bedtime is earlier. Maybe it's a little morning cuddle when they wake up. When you have a signature connection, you stop trying to make bedtime do emotional overtime. And that's when the guilt finally quiets down. Okay, now I want to talk about the hard reality of daycare and commutes. Because a lot of advice online assumes you control naps and you do not. If daycare naps are short, bedtime often needs to be early enough to prevent the overtired crash. If daycare naps are late, bedtime can get tricky because your baby might not have enough sleep pressure. So instead of forcing a perfect bedtime every night, you protect the bedtime window. You choose a consistent range, you keep the routine the same, and you stop using a later bedtime as the solution for a hard day, because a later bedtime is the most tempting fix and the least reliable one. Now let's talk about the most guilt-loaded scenario. You walk in the door and your baby lights up, and you think, if I put them to bed soon, I'm breaking their little heart. I need you to hear me. Your baby wants you, that's true. But your baby also needs sleep to be okay. And your job is not to give them everything they want in the moment. Your job is to give them what helps their whole system feel secure. That is love too. Now I'm going to give you one tiny mindset shift that changes everything. Early bedtime is not you choosing sleep over your baby. Early bedtime is you choosing your baby's best self tomorrow and your best self tomorrow. Because the version of you who is running on fumes is not the version you want to be. And the version of your baby who is overtired is not the version you want to spend your limited time with. Here's a detail that makes this plan actually work in real life. If you want to move bedtime earlier, do it gently. You don't have to slam bedtime earlier in one night and hope the universe is kind. You can shift gradually while keeping the routine calm and consistent. And if your baby has big reactions to change or seems extra sensitive to noise, light, texture, or transitions, keep the environment and the routine extra predictable. Same steps, same tone, same sleep cues. Because sensitive babies do best when the evening feels boring in the most comforting way. Now I'm going to tease the part parents never expect, and it's the reason early bedtime can finally feel fair. It's not about the clock. It's about how you use the time you already have. And that's exactly what we personalize in a plan, so you're not guessing every single night. If you want support tailored to your baby and your real schedule, this is what I do with families inside my consultations. I have a master's in social work, I'm a certified pediatric sleep consultant, and I'm the CEO of Rested and Renewed Pediatric Sleep Consulting. And yes, I'm also a toddler mom, so I understand the emotional tug of wanting more time and needing everyone to sleep. If you want me to help you build a plan that fits daycare, work, and real evenings, you can book a consultation through Rested and Renewed. And if you're not ready to book, start with my free guide. Now let's land this with a plan you can actually use without spiraling. If you're stuck choosing between early bedtime and seeing your baby, you're going to stop treating it like a moral decision. You're going to treat it like a design problem. You design a protected reconnection right after work. You keep the routine simple and repeatable. You protect a bedtime window that supports good sleep. And you stop trying to make bedtime carry all the emotional weight of the day. Because you did not fail because you have a job. You did not fail because you miss your child. You are a loving parent trying to do too much with too little time, and the internet is happy to pile guilt on top of that. We're not doing that here. And here's when I'd stop guessing and get extra support. If your baby is waking constantly overnight, struggling to gain weight, having feeding difficulties, showing signs of reflux that seem painful, snoring or having breathing pauses, having persistent vomiting, high fever, or you just have a gut feeling something is off medically, loop in your pediatrician. And if everything looks medically okay, but sleep is still wrecking your functioning, your mood, your work, or your ability to parent the way you want to, that's a sign you deserve a real plan, not another night of trial and error. If this already made you feel less guilty and more clear, the next video will help you tighten the parts that keep slipping so nights stop feeling like a daily negotiation and start feeling predictable again. Tap the screen to watch my next video.
Don't forget, download the guide, subscribe for more clarity, and tap this screen. Trust me on this one.